In fact, there is another set of beneficiaries as a result of GST 2.0, and that is, of course, hospitals and healthcare. How has that benefited from GST 2.0? Well, procurement of equipment, materials and medication is set to get cheaper, with a lot of such items moving from 12 to 18% to just 5%. Anesthetics, medical oxygen, instruments used in medical, surgical, dental sciences, surgical rubber gloves, wadding, gauze and bandages all were at 12%. They have come down to 5%. So, of course, healthcare and, medicine at large has gotten cheaper as well. So this is, of course, again a big boost in spending and savings as well. What about medicines for individuals and local medical sciences like Unani and Ayurveda? Well, 33 life-saving drugs are going to be charged just 0%. That is nil, and most other treatment medications are set to drop to 5% from 12%. Unmixed medicines, not for retail sales, spectacles for correcting vision, from 12% to 5% GST. That's also a great move. Blood glucose monitoring system were at 12% earlier, so that bracket has been done away with. What's the situation for health insurance? Well, all individual health insurance is now exempted from taxes under the Insurance for All by 2047 scheme. Health insurance was at 18%. Individual insurance was at 18%. It's at 0% now. So the fundamentals have drastically been changed. Vinesh Menon, the fundamentals here have been drastically changed. You spoke about another core fundamental that should in fact get more attention from the government, and rightly so, because all these are pillars on which a healthy economy, a healthy nation, a prosperous Viksit Bharat can stand. And education has also been slated as one of them. It needs to get a chunk out of these benefits.
Oh, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think you picked up the two most critical sectors as far as I'm concerned, which has to, on whose pillars the country has to progress. One is healthcare, which you just talked about, and the other is education. It is the most significant contributor in nation building. And I think it is a pretty top priority for the government of India today, because it is being considered as a cornerstone for national development and socio-economic progress. So to that extent, I think I repeat, while I appreciate what's been done, I just want to once again state: is there a way that strategic reforms can be brought in to rationalize and streamline GST provisions applicable to the education sector? And I think that assumes critical importance. You see, what happens in education is that we all know that there is no GST in education services. When you give education to a child, the fees that the child pays is exempt from GST, which are rightly so. But what does that exemption do? It creates unintended financial consequences by blocking the availment of ITC on key inputs. And therefore, input services, lease rentals, repair, maintenance, affiliation fees, digital infrastructure, these are all areas where GST has to be paid, and it cannot be claimed. And it is an embedded cost. And that increases the overall cost of providing education, because possibly they'll try and pass that onto the consumer, which is the child, which is also not good. Now, can that be done? Even there is a concern, because many of these schools are constrained by regulated fee structures and cannot fully pass on this additional burden. So that limits the funds available for critical investments. And I think education is now moving into a space where investments in infrastructure, technology, quality enhancement initiatives, these are all areas that require lots of impetus. Let's take a simple example, right? The government has consistently emphasized on holistic education through schemes in sports. Halo India is a big call today to the nation. Fit India movement is a big call to the nation. A lot of money has been earmarked for this. But if a school wants to provide sports services to the children and integrate sports into education, that sports services will have to be taxed. When you buy services from sporting equipments for children, it'll be taxed. Can you claim input? You can't. So these are the concerns that perhaps need to be looked into. And therefore, I think to summarize, GST on certain procurements, denial of ITC for education institutions to create an embedded cost structure, perhaps that goes against the government's own push for holistic education. And my request once again to the Honorable Finance Ministers, open that one window and just go a little deeper. I think if you go deeper, you will see opportunities to make it a little better.
You're absolutely right, Vinesh, and perhaps what you have said is going to serve as a window, as an entry point into realizing that there could be a 3.0 as well, in which a lot of these other issues that still prevail in a number of industries, especially issues pertaining to an industry like education, will be ironed out. We've run out of time. Appreciate everyone who joined in and shared their perspective with our viewers. Thank you so much. We take a short break. We'll be right back.